Stanjabalisco here, proprietor and operator of amateur radio station W1GV, Whiskey 1 Good Vibrations. Another little story for you. Way back in the 1970s, I got interested in radio teletype, and I built my own terminal unit, which basically is the former day equivalent of a modem, which would translate the teletype machine's impulses into signals that went out over the air, and then would take signals that came in from over the air and would translate them into impulses that the teletype machine would render on paper with perforations down the sides, remember? And it was in a box and it was folded like an accordion. And if you unfolded that accordion, you might have like a mile of paper. And the teletype machine itself weighed probably 300 pounds. It had survived a fire that the building that housed it had not, and so I got it for free. Western Union Model 102, I believe it was called. But in any case, my own little terminal unit that I designed only operated on one half of the teletype signal. That was the mark only. So I called it the mark only TU. But it wasn't very good because it didn't take advantage of the whole signal. So I got interested in finding a kit to build a terminal unit, and I came across a corporation called HAL Devices out of Urbana, Illinois. The very same HAL that built the computer that nearly aborted a space mission to Jupiter in the famous movie 2001: A Space Odyssey. But that was a fictitious HAL. This is a real HAL. HAL Devices, they called themselves back then. And I got an ST5 terminal unit kit and put it on its own chassis. I really dialed that thing up, gave it a wood cabinet, a finished oak wood cabinet, and a brushed aluminum panel. And I'll testify that it was brushed because I scoured it myself with steel wool. A beautiful little unit it was, maybe about 8 by 8 by 8 inches, maybe 10 by 10 by 10. Anyway, it was a really cool, neat way to go radio teletype back then. Of course, today you just use your computer and you use a program like MMTTY, or even Hamscope, I believe, will do radio teletype. So for some reason it was more fun back then. I guess maybe because when you look back a long ways to your early years, you always think things were more fun then than they are now. Not necessarily true, but the distortions and delusions of time. Ham radio operators, particularly old-timers, become vulnerable to this. If I had that stuff down there in my ham shack now, I probably wouldn't touch it. I'd use the computer instead. Stanjabalisco signing off, saying 73, which means best regards in ham radio jargon, and so long, which means in my favorite language, da-da-da-da-da-da.